The TikTok standard says that a man's love must be exhausted in the same woman. Yes, perhaps that parable has some truth. A first experience always has a special place for Yadi. Even sometimes the smile is never able to disappear from Sanabari. But life has to go on, and speaking of first love, I was reminded of the story of a man who was trapped in his first love. So, here's the story. His name is Jimmy, an unemployed man who just happened to get a job as a karaoke planner in a corner of Taiwan. Jim can be said to be tall, handsome, has a hobby of playing basketball, and is also a gamer whose skills are deadly. It is not uncommon for Jim's charm to be like David, which is able to captivate the heart of every woman. He told me that he knew me. David's face was a little swollen. But regardless, Jimmy's job is a dangerous, risky, and very challenging job. Faith wanders a little, sees people kissing, sleepy a little, threatened with death, and what a little even met my mother, who was screaming on ick. Not only is her work very stressful, she has never dated since childhood. This makes Jimmy often feel lonely. But that changed when a sweet woman came to him in the park. His name is AM. He asked if this place opened job vacancies. A stammering Jimmy could only say, "I asked the boss first." It didn't take long, the boss agreed to accept Amy to work. Also, since A is from Japan and among them, only Jim can speak the language, so he has to guide him. Jimmy immediately escorted Amy to his room. There Jimmy was still innocent and had never touched a woman. It can only be silent in 1,000 languages. Suddenly Amy asks what her favorite anime is. Hearing the word anime, Wibujim's soul was stirred. He immediately told the story. Boruto is more powerful than the Scarlet Witch. Amy laughed when she heard it. Feeling familiar, Jimmy asked when Amy would stay there. Amy firmly said that maybe she would stay for a long time. Yes, at least until he was satisfied with his trip. Amy's arrival is even a blessing for this karaoke. Since Amy, all people from all over the country want to visit here. No doubt if the boss who called Amy was a sensation. That day karaoke revenue soared. Her boss, who is happy with Amy's work, praises her to death. Amy only said that this was the result of Jimmy's upbringing while still being pretentious. Jimmy said, "It was an easy thing, I didn't want Jimmy to continue to be careful." The boss immediately invited them to eat. There they spent time happily. The boss asks what is the reason for Amy leaving her country. Is it just to examine one's identity or to heal the heart? Without answering, Amy immediately pulled out a book in which she drew every moment she felt there. Am said that he had no purpose, but wasn't the most enjoyable thing about a trip the journey itself? So you could say that I'm not looking for something, but I'm enjoying the whole time. Looking at the beautiful AM painting, Jimmy said, should an ugly mural be in front of their karaoke? Reimagined? Feeling that it was a good idea, the boss asked, would you like to help them? After the excitement of the night, Amy's friends who were exhausted said goodbye to each other. Because Mrs. Echo and Wati had to go far to escort Amy, Jimmy had to replace them with just that. And so Colonel Jimmy said, that night Amy said that she didn't want to go home yet. So he asked Jimmy which beautiful place Jimmy used to go to. For Jimmy, who rarely goes out, all the places feel ordinary. But maybe Amy will love these places. The two of them also toured the snack city at the night market and also enjoyed the twinkling lights from a hill. This place has an amazing panorama and it looks like Jimmy is starting to fall in love. Does Jimmy often come here with his girlfriend? Question. Jimmy shyly said that he is still a man of his word. When it comes to that, Amy already knows. It's not because Jimmy is a mother, but Amy says that shy men seem to probably have the criteria for a perfect woman. Yes, Jimmy does have the perfect criteria, which is you. Amy was surprised by Jimmy's words. Amy immediately says that Jimmy must have a dream. until Jimmy gets tired of reaching her. They have to meet again. So keep your feelings to yourself. Keep it to achieve your dreams, and after that let's meet me again. Amy's words that night changed Jimmy's life 180 degrees. He was no longer late, he also began to study hard. His family was also pleased with Jimmy's rapid change. Even Jimmy is doing his job better than ever. But because of love, sometimes it makes men darken. Although Jim knew it was their client, he couldn't stand his feelings. He was sick of seeing Amby constantly being tempted. Until the end, knowing that Jimmy is making trouble. Mr. Bus also scolded him. He said, if you are a boy, don't read manga most of the time. But Amy just said thank you to Jimmy. Afterwards, Wahi asked AM if AM had the type of man he wanted to be, and dig dug. Jimmy listened intently. Am said that he likes men who are tall, handsome, fragrant, masculine, cool, clean, dreamy. Just like David. So in the high part, it doesn't seem like it. Jimmy, who looked jealous of Amy's answer, immediately replied that he also had his ideal type of woman, namely a sexy white tall man. The front and rear bumpers also contained Aim, who was intrigued with Jimmy's answer that he could only say yes and say good luck finding the woman of your dreams. It was the night when he wanted to go home. Jimmy, who forgot that the key, decided to go back. But when he passed Amy's room, he heard a commotion from inside. I don't know who Amy is arguing with, but for sure the debate sounds like a couple of lovers who are pitting each other for prestige. Jimmy, who looked heartbroken, invited his colleague named Ooze to stop by his house. There they played a three-press. But that's not the point. There Jimmy confided about Amy. Ooze said, even though Amy already has a heart mooring, it doesn't hurt if you try it. Even though Amy's dream spec is David, my writer seems to be a jerk, but that's okay. The important thing is to strengthen your intentions, strengthen your faith, and strengthen Jode. I mean, strengthen your worship, and I give you 2 tickets to go to the movies, and don't waste the opportunity that God gives you. In the morning, Jimmy immediately went to Am's room. There Jimmy again strengthened his heart. Repeatedly he whispered to dare to invite Amy to a date the next day. But because Jimmy never had a girlfriend at all, he also so. Jimmy repeatedly apologized to Anne. But that's okay, the important thing is that next time if you want to meet at least greetings first, Yatek. Then Jimmy stammered and gave food to AM. Sarai said, does Amy have free time to go with him tomorrow? Aim, who already said that this was a date invitation, immediately asked, where do they want to go? Jimmy immediately handed over the 2 audience tickets he got, and a movie titled Love Letter would complete their quincenal the next day. And I, like most people, is drunk with romance. Jimmy also started to dress himself, learn Japanese more deeply, find out which clothes are good for him, and don't forget to read dating tutorials for beginners. Hello, I'm a little girl. David did. But unfortunately that day Jimmy woke up in the afternoon. Ha, Famio. The 2 of them arrived at the cinema. There, Amy saw a poster about the Festive Olympian in Taiwan. Jimin asks if Amy wants to come there. However, the place was quite far from the city. If you want, Jimmy will accompany her when he gets the same holiday. Jimmy's words were considered a promise by AM, and he also told Jimmy to never forget his invitation. They went inside and the movie began. Various romantic and heart-wrenching scenes are played. Unconsciously, Jimmy shed tears washed away with the song of the movie that was so soul-wrenching to him. And unknowingly, Amy also cried beside him. After that, Jimmy and Amy went home. Amy said that the scene in the film was like her hometown, full of snow and full of longing. Amy knows that this trip is her choice and Amit knows that longing is the consequence. But that's okay. Thank you, Jimmy, you have made my day his happier. Here. But it seems like that day is the first and last date day for Jimmy because the next day Aim says that she will be back in her homeland, Japan. Jimmy, who is still Sayok, asks what is Am's reason for returning, whether it is time or because of love affairs. Amy replied that she was getting engaged this year. So it was the best decision she could make now with Jimmy's emotions leaving the place. So, the days went by so coldly, there was no greeting and not even laughter from the two. Only a cynical look and sadness emanated from Jimmy's face every day. Jimmy repeatedly tries to convince himself that he has no feelings for Am. But all of Jimmy's anger was immediately calmed by his father, who at that time said that sometimes God does like to joke. God sometimes sends someone who is not to be had. Often it is only a lesson for the heart. But boy, listen to me, you're still young, you still need to try. It doesn't hurt if you beat prestige and dare to take your step. At least your loved one has a memory of the time they were with you. His father's words clearly made Jimmy think hard. He also repeatedly asked his heart if he was brave enough. But waiting and continuing to think seemed to be fruitless. With his last intention and determination, Jimmy steadied himself up and rushed to pick up Am. Hey, in the remaining time we had, Jimmy firmly asked Am to get ready because Jimmy would take him somewhere. On his journey, Jimmy is no longer silent. He also tried to find a topic of conversation. Jimmy offers Amy to listen to a song. A song that Amy certainly likes is Silent. In the chant, Jim suddenly says that he doesn't want Amy to leave his life. Maybe Aim didn't hear, but that's exactly what Jimin wants. They arrived at the destination of a station that was very crowded with crowds. There, they were both squeezed by hundreds of people, afraid of Am being separated from him. Jimmy bravely immediately took his hand. It turns out that Jimmy keeps his promise by taking Amy to a lantern festival. They each wrote down their dreams there. To which Jimmy wrote that he hoped to find his dream soon and make it a reality. As for Amy, she wrote that she hoped that her journey would never end. With a deep look into Jimmy Am's eyes, he asked him to make a promise. Promise that when your dreams are realized, let's meet again. If you've reached your goal in life, let's meet again. Never dare to forget this promise, Jimmy, with a warm hug. We say thank you to Jimmy. That day, Amy said goodbye to all her friends there. One by one, they conveyed their impressions to Amy and also thanked them for all the memories they had carved together. Jimmy was asked by his boss to give Amy a memento, a book that contained all the messages from his friends. Aim was happy after getting it and she couldn't hold back the tears anymore. But the emotional moment did not last long. The train that will take Amy away is already waiting. They could only wave at him. Sarai prayed for us to be safe until we reached his house. Be hi. A few months after the breakup, Jimmy was accepted into a prestigious university. A farewell occurred again between him and his friends. But what is clear, everyone in this place will always support him. And don't forget to stop by this place often. Yes, Jim's life, which was originally messy and aimless, has now changed. He starts to organize his goals, and it's all thanks to Amy's presence. Jimmy also went to college like his peers. And there he met someone who really helped him achieve his dreams. His name is Aaron. They both have a lot in common. In addition to playing GAM, Ariane also introduced Jimmy to programming. And therefore, now Jimmy knows what he has to do. Hi. After successfully making his first game, Jimmy immediately contacted AM. There was a look on Jimmy's face that was so enthusiastic to tell the story. But a heart-wrenching answer Jimmy had to hear from Am's mouth. He said that next week he would soon be married to the man of his choice. So Amy begs Jimmy to stop contacting her again, and Jimmy's heart this time is completely broken. He no longer believed in hope and even in a promise. 18 years passed. The sadness clearly numbed Jimmy. All the anger and hatred finally made Jimmy succeed in becoming the Sultan of Raya. He managed to become a young CEO by building the largest gaming company there. His name also began to spread everywhere. But his success still feels empty. Even when the investor asked where he wanted to take this company, Jimmy only replied that he no longer wanted to do anything. Aren, who was confused by Jimmy's attitude, then asked what was bothering his friend's mind. Jimmy said he was confused why he was not happy, even though he now had everything. He can make his family, friends, and even provide sustenance fields for others. But he remained empty. All the things Jim did seemed to be in vain. That day Jimmy decided to return to his hometown, the place where he had grown up. The place where he grew up and learned a lot, and also the place where he used to feel his first love. At home, the father gave advice that an old Chinese proverb once said. Pause for a moment to prepare for your long journey, which means that every journey needs to stop, not to end, but to examine yourself. On a journey, we have to prepare everything, and sometimes in the middle we have to revisit how far we have come, how tired we are, and how much we have sacrificed for our purpose. Once all that is done, please continue your steps, because the most fun part of a trip is not the end, but the journey itself. His father's words instantly woke Jimmy up. He then began to reopen his memory box, a box he kept that contained all his memories with AM. There he found a photo with his friends. Not only that, at the last moment Amy still had time to give a letter to Jimmy. The letter contained like a promise to the two of them that one day Jimmy would have achieved his dream. I would like to meet again. Now Jimmy no longer cares about promises. She doesn't care if is married anymore. He doesn't care about anything people will say later. All Jimmy cares about now is himself and the promise he has made with Amy. That day he left for a country and of course a city where was. Along the way he encountered many things. Jimmy did not forget to devote every place he stopped by and recorded the name of everyone he met. Yes, I do. Various kinds of people, moments and also stories he found. Starting from her meeting with Mr. Liu, a ramen seller who turns out to be in the same hometown, then a young man named Koji who runs away from his home in search of freedom, to his meeting with Yukiko who turns out to be a big fan of her. All of these meetings indirectly describe every moment he used to spend with AM. A moment that always leaves a mark. That Jimmy wants to revisit. Until Jimmy arrives in a town called Tadami, a city filled with snow. Just like the movie they had seen before, Jimmy also asked the people there about AIM. It seems that AIM is quite popular in the city and almost all the residents know AIM's story. This old man also offered Jimmy a ride because if he walked, AIM's house was considered quite far away. They have also arrived there. The old man immediately called AIM's mother and introduced Jimmy to her. After knowing that Jimmy was the man her son had been telling her, the mother immediately invited Jimmy into her house with a simple mug. Her mother said that Amy had always told about her experiences in Taiwan and met many valuable people. They are all good people. What's more, a man named Jimmy once made an appointment with AM. With a heart that has been longing, Jimmy asks if he is allowed to meet A.O. Mitchell High. His mother also invited Jimmy to enter her son's room. There are neatly stored all the memories from AM. Paintings, books, posters and various kinds of souvenirs that he has kept so far. Not forgetting his photos with people he knew. Accidentally the photos with people who openly accepted him as family. People who will never forget until the end of their lives. In addition, his mother also gave Jimmy a book. Inside were written hundreds of love letters that Amy did not send. To Jimmy, Amy wrote sorry repeatedly and apologized for not being able to meet Jimmy. Amy apologized for lying to Jimmy. Amy also apologized for hurting the heart of the person he loves the most. The engagement is a lie and my marriage is just an excuse for you not to let me go. I know I'm so mean to you, but this illness of mine has been gnawing away for a long time. Even my little body was no longer able to hold it. I said, I love to circle the world. But in fact, I only went to your city. I lied and kept lying. But Jimmy in the part 1 love you. That sentence came out sincerely from my heart. Jimmy's tears welled up in his eyes. He seemed to not believe that the person he had loved was enduring his pain alone. He couldn't believe that someone who changed his life was gone forever. Why, Amy? Why? Why didn't you come into my life? Why did you bother to change me? Why do you give me any hope? And why did you leave me alone? Now I have achieved it all. I have made my dream come true, and isn't that like your request? We promised to meet each other. We promise. Friend, we have promised, and why did you break it? On the last page of the book, Amy wrote, if one day Jimmy comes and Amy is gone, then Jimmy must continue his life. Jimmy should still be a great man and a thank you, Amy. Write it in the book as a closing. Thank you for all the memories Jimmy has carved in his life, and now please continue your life, my dear man. After that, Jim decided to go home. She also returned to knitting her dream by buying an old building. Jimmy intends to expand his company to me. In the car, Jimmy wrote his first love letter, something that Jimmy had been afraid of. There he wrote down how it would feel if he and Amy aged together. It may be interesting, but it seems that one day their second meeting will feel more beautiful among the milky rivers, alongside the people who have returned to youth. And afterwards we will joke with God there. Their first love for a man. Their first love will always remain in the soul does not mean that they are unable to move on from the situation. But indeed, everything that we feel for the first time will definitely have a special place at the bottom of our hearts. In addition, for me, losing is indeed the most difficult moment I have ever felt. This is indeed hard, it is not easy at all, and it is as if I think everything is trying to stop, there is a stop until that day comes. But my friend once told me this. That maybe God misses him more. Perhaps God's love is greater than ours. So we can sometimes interpret someone's departure as God's way of expressing longing for his servants, and also as a reminder for us to always take advantage of and enjoy the time that exists. I'm sorry I can't speak of loss. But I am Gogun and the entire Pus Rangpik Lori team, or now I say the whole family, would like to thank you for watching this video every time until the end. I'm sorry if I feel like it's too late or not. I don't do it myself. I myself don't know how to write like this, and I haven't been told what movie it is. So when I read it, I remembered the things that I had to deal with, including loss. But again, thank you. Thank you for giving likes. Thank you to those who have commented, subscribed, and also pressed the thank you button. Because without all of you, we wouldn't have gotten to this point, and I wouldn't say much. I just want to remind you that your day is hard. Sit for a while, no one is in a hurry. You are the one who is calm, take a breath, throw it away. Brew the coffee, take the match and just setting first. Thanks.